Welcome to Not Your Average Neighbor, the podcast celebrating inspiring individuals and the amazing work they do in our community. I'm Ann Roshar, your host, inviting you to join me as we shine a light on stories of resilience, connection, and good news. Let's build a neighborhood that uplifts and inspires, one story at a time. Hey neighbors, it's Ann Roshar, hostess with the mostest of Not Your Average Neighbor podcast, coming to you again. I think this is episode 4 of season 4. So we are so happy to have you here. So excited to bring in my guest. I want to, as always, shout out a neighbor before we start. And if you've been watching and following for a little bit, the neighbor I'm choosing for this week is my dear friend, Chris Taylor. He was on, I believe, the very first season of Not Your Average Neighbor. Chris Taylor is being a huge champion for me in my real estate world. And it's my love language to get referrals because if you refer me, I'm going to do 10,000% great because I want to make you happy as the referrer and I want to make the referee equally as happy. So I really, really appreciate his support. He's been great and I just love you, Chris Taylor. Also, just wanted to say that we are having a great time here on Not Your Average Neighbor podcast. But stay tuned because we do have a newsletter coming and website. So, very exciting. My lovely assistant, Jace, has been working very hard on getting those things added. And that, folks, will be coming to you soon. So, we will make notifications about that and all the things. But thank you so much to everyone who listens. Share it with a neighbor. Tell us who your favorite neighbors are because we would love the opportunity to interview them as well. I am so excited for my neighbor today. She is such a funny woman, and I am very excited to introduce you to her. Please help me welcome to the stage Mindy Kruckenberg. Hi,
Hey,
Mindy.
good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for joining me today. And before we get into your stand up comedy journey that you have recently just begun, let's get into what Mindy did prior to stand up.
I was a high school Spanish teacher for 33 years.
Oy vey. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. Muy
That's
bien.
not even
Great.
Spanish.
No. So early on in my career, I was at Mason City, and then I taught in Greene for 4. That's North Butler now, little tiny town. And then started at Center Point Urbana, 2001. And I was there until the pandemic year. I taught at Linn-Mar. That's where my son attended at that time. But I went back to CPU because I really missed it and missed my friends, missed the small town. And that's where I retired from in 2024. So
That is amazing. And also from the Nada School Night that I was audience member in on Saturday at Ideal Theater, you have a lot of content that you can use from that, which is great. I love teachers making fun of the students because the students,
mhm,
let's be real, the students are making fun of you. So come on, give it back.
100%. They are hilarious and sometimes unintentionally, but yeah, sometimes.
I mean, it's got to be hard not to just
Oh my
burst out.
gosh. Well, it's kinda like being a parent when your kid says something funny and you know it's not appropriate, but there
Right.
and sometimes you can control it, but other times you just have to laugh because it's so funny. So and that's one of the reasons I go back, like, I love subbing because, I sub at CPU in Marion primarily because one of my former colleagues from CPU teaches at Marion now, and so I know when I go into her classroom and her colleagues that I'm gonna have a good day. So
Yeah, for sure. And that is so awesome that you get to still do that. and that means that you still get new content.
100%. Yes. That's the thing is like for a while when I wasn't teaching, I was like, I have this material, but it's finite. And sometimes funny things happen in normal real life. But if I go into a school, I know there something bizarre is going to occur because I'm around teenagers. So something's going to happen that I can,
That's
that'll be my seed to build something around, add 5 minutes to my set, whatever the case may be. So I like to stay fresh. I like to do new material and always be writing. Because honestly, doing comedy is very similar to teaching. It fills that void in my soul. But I can drink while I'm doing it, and I can swear while I'm doing it. So it's better.
And who knew you can offend very soft people? Not you personally, but someone else evidently offended someone in the audience. And I'm just so glad they left. It wasn't their vibe. They needed to go. So
Yeah. I
that's kind of fun too when you get to heckle
It was
the
so
people.
strange to me that I mean, I didn't even know that they left until after my set was finished.
Right.
Um, but I'm thinking, okay, if you buy tickets to a show is going to be teachers talking about things, you make certain assumptions about what they're gonna use for setups and whatnot. And also there were 3 comics and they left during the first one, and I just think that's really weird to me.
Yeah.
Most people,
Yeah.
if you pay to see a few comics, you're gonna stay and at the end of the night be like, "Oh, I really liked that one, and, this one I didn't agree with," but what a strange choice. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, oh, well, they bought tickets
that's
and
the thing, when you already had their money, I got paid, so bye-bye. Yeah, and it's not you don't want those negative vibes around anyway, so
no, absolutely not.
and I
So,
really
let's
feel like
talk.
everyone there had a great time. It
Oh
felt
my
really
God,
good.
it's so funny. One of the questions that I had is, do you get annoyed when people laugh at the wrong thing? And I probably did that because I think everyone's funny when they're up on stage, or I'll be like, haha, or yeah, or like I make commentary with the comic, and the comic's like probably like, shut up.
No, no, it's great because you sometimes when I first started doing this, I think I'm going on 2 years. And I would tell stories and it was fine and it was funny, but I've learned, you add these little tags and you add the what you think is going to be the punchline, but sometimes the tags will get more of a response from the crowd. And you're like, "Oh, that's funny. I need to rework that or move that around because the crowd responded to this more so than
Right.
this." It's a cool learning process. And the other thing that's weird about comedy is that the audience members, you feed off of them, right? Because comics in the audience don't always give great feedback. Some of them will just sit and stare blank face. Some of them try really hard not to laugh just to like put more pressure on you. Um, and some will just sit there, and I've done this before. I'll just be like, "Oh, that's funny. That's funny." And then but it doesn't feel the same as a laugh. Like hearing laughter is, that's where you get your high for sure.
Absolutely. And as we all know, laughter is the best medicine. So
Yep.
that is just the biggest bonus of being in this community, I'm sure, is that you get to laugh off a lot more things that maybe
Yes.
before were not so fun. Like you're
Right.
like,
Oh,
okay,
absolutely.
I
Like
see
when I started doing this, Helene, who you also saw on Saturday night, she at lunch, she would just be cracking us up and always talked about doing stand up. And so the year after, after I retired, I said, "Hey, are we doing this or not? Like, let's put up or shut up." And we did it. And I just thought it would be a one and done. But immediately I was like, "Oh, I need to do this some more." And then you become a part of this comedy community and these amazing people. Um, and then it is addictive. And there have been many times when I didn't feel like going, something happened in the world or in my life where I was just kind of sad and wasn't feeling it. But even if I don't feel like getting on stage, I will usually still go and just sit and laugh at other people, and get hugs from my friends, and that's great.
Yeah, 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 for sure. So let's again piggyback and start back. So a couple years ago, you and Helene said, "Put up or shut up." And where was this first set, so to speak, that you
Okay.
did?
Back in those days, it was, the open mic was at, Iowa Brewing Company, which doesn't even exist anymore, Clock House bought them, and hopefully they'll open soon, but it was this huge building, and the night we went, we told all of our friends. We recruited all of our friends. So many people showed up. And I found out later when I got to know the comics, they're like, yeah, usually there were like 7 of us there just watching each other. And so tonight, you guys just pouring in, we were like, "Look, what is happening?" Um, but now it's moved to Old Neighborhood Pub, ONP, which is a great venue, and they have food, which is nice.
Mhm.
Um, and it is packed. It's just well, you were there.
I
It's
was
full.
there. It was literally standing room only. We stood
Yeah.
with these 2 lovely ladies that let us stand basically at their table. It was packed, and I had no idea, that this magic was happening on Tuesday nights in Cedar Rapids,
Yeah,
and
that's the thing,
it's like,
right? Because sometimes you'll
yeah,
have people there that I think wish there wasn't comedy going on, and then they'll leave, like they just went out to have dinner with their family, and especially if there's little kids, we're always kinda like, "Oh, I don't think they're here on purpose." But
yeah,
but the other
yeah.
it's more and more popular, and it's fun, and some nights there are so many comics signed up that we might only get 3 minutes at the mic or 4, and
That's
we
what
just
happened when I came. Yeah, that's what
Oh,
happened,
okay.
and I saw you all outside, like, it was like family reunion, Everyone's like, "Hey, hey, hey," and you're all super supportive of each other. It was such a neat experience to kind of be a fly on the wall out there while that was
Mhm.
happening too.
It's
Um,
electric. It really is an electric, vibe. It's great. I love it. And I think one of the reasons we're so cohesive is because a lot of the comics and this is just me as a teacher, my teacher brain, saying a lot of these folks didn't have a good experience in school because a lot of them have ADD or ADHD, which is why they're so clever and creative and their brains are spinning for content all the time, but they didn't have great experiences in the classroom because classrooms are not cut out for folks whose brains work different, right?
yeah.
And I think some of them just they really take care of each other. They welcome each other because they know what feels like to be an outsider, if that makes sense. And so
Mhm.
have this, I call it an island of misfit toys because that's how it feels. It's really sweet. I love it actually.
It's
And I think
definitely the vibe.
how some folks with if you don't know people have social anxiety, sometimes it exhibits as someone just kind of seeming like and I don't know if I can swear on this or not, but like
Oh,
coming
absolutely.
okay, like, sometimes they come off as kind of an asshole or very
Oh, yeah.
standoffish, but you get to know them. 'Em, you're like, "Oh, they're so good-hearted." That's just their, like, hard candy coating that you have to get through, so
Yeah, because as, we were talking at coffee, I was like, some of these comics seemed a little angry." They
yeah,
were a little like, "Rawr," and I'm like, "Okay, well, I feel bad for you now, and you're not funny." So,
that happen and some comics will flat out tell you, like, "This is my therapy, I get up there and do therapy," but to quote my friend Brody Stanford, I would say, "Have you tried a therapy? Because it's not the same. And you're right. Sometimes it's not funny. Sometimes it's just uncomfortable. But different comics have different motives. And I think I told you this. Some of them will say, like, you've grown, and that's the same to me as a laugh. And
mhm.
that's how I'm cut out. I'm not trying to, push any boundaries or anything like that. I just want, like, we need a lot of light and love in the world right now. That's what I'm going for. That's
Amen,
I
sister.
when I watch a comic, I wanna laugh,
Yeah,
and it's great if they make me think too, but
yeah.
I don't wanna be brought down. When I'm done, I wanna feel better, not worse. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
I'll give you a, example of a really bad comic that we were disappointed in. It was down when it was in Penguins at the second basement bar. My husband and I and a couple friends, we loved to go to Penguins back in the day and see like big comments. Like we saw Dave Keckner, Polly Shore, Jennifer Coolidge. She was out at Sheraton, like during like the flood, all
Uh-huh.
of those. So, the worst comic that I have ever seen and that made me not laugh and feel like, "Ick, you're not great." Chris Kattan.
Oh, interesting.
He It was not funny, and then I also saw him. I love reality shows. I saw him on a reality show, and I think he left early too. He's not cut out for it. I don't know how he got to Saturday Night Live. Because people are, you gotta make fun, and he's a tiny guy, he's not allegedly, I mean, he's probably my height, and, so you've got to have some thick skin when you are that kind
Yeah.
of comic, and it was disappointing to say the least,
Well,
and we were
I'm not
like
gonna lie, I don't know much about him other than his time on SNL, and so I
right.
wonder if maybe he didn't start as a stand-up, maybe he's just more of an improv guy.
Well,
Um,
and the thing is that that could be true, and we wanted him to talk about, I mean, you've got great content. You were with Will Ferrell,
yeah.
like, talk about your experiences, but that was not a part of his gig. He didn't wanna bring up anything about SNL, and that's why we
Okay.
were all there.
Right.
We weren't there because we heard he was a great comedian. We were there because he was, like, in it with Chris Farley and Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
Like, those are the stories you wanna hear. So, anyway, I digress. Chris Kattan, sorry if you ever see this in real life. Do better, actually. I mean
You bring up a good point because we go for that name recognition, right? With comics, with musical acts, and honestly, some of the folks that you've not heard of are just
are
as
the
funny,
funniest, yeah.
right? Yeah, and so that's why we appreciate like Saturday night felt really good. There were a lot of people at the Ideal, and it's summer. I know there are so many other things going on that people can be doing. So when you spend money, especially in this economy, and come and support local comedy, it's like, that's a big deal to us. That
Yeah,
means
yeah,
and then sometimes, like, you had that experience where you go and afterwards you're like, "Oh my gosh, so and so was really funny. That's my kinda comedy." And then you might see their face on a poster and decide like, "Oh, I wanna go see them do more time." And so
mhm.
great, it builds. I love it. I wasn't expecting,
Yeah.
but I'll do it for as long as it's fun. I'll do it for as long as I enjoy it. So,
Well, you have a gift, absolutely. And
thank
uh Kathy Griffin just said this. No, someone said it to her. Someone
hmm,
asked her if she prefers comedian or comedian for a woman, and she said, "Call me a comic. I'm a comic. Like, we're
yeah,
all comics. It doesn't have to be boy, he and she, we're
yeah,
all doing the same thing, and it's comedy, so we're comics." I don't know.
yeah.
I thought that was interesting. And
Yeah,
that being said, kind of there aren't a lot of female
mhm,
comics in the area. So you got to go in there and kind of throw it on the table and say,
yeah.
"Listen, I'm funny too." So,
Well,
like,
there
talk
have
about
been
that experience a little bit.
a few nights where I've gone to ONP, Old Neighborhood Pub, with the intention of just being an audience member, but then I see the list and I see that it's all guys and no females have signed up. And those so then sometimes I will sign up just to be like, "Hey, women can do
I
too," right? Um,
absolutely.
yeah, I've had so much support in the community. I've never personally been, discriminated against because I'm
I
female or anything like that. But there is like a special camaraderie when the other female comics do show up. You're
yes.
hugging and talking about stuff and everyone just kind of has their thing and their way about them. And one of the jokes I think I shared with you, I was planning to do the roast of Cedar Rapids and ended up
Yes.
not being able to.
Right.
Um, but the thing that I had worked out was this whole bit about the quick star Abraham Lincoln, And if anybody's watching this podcast and they go to the Quick Star on 42nd Street, right off the interstate, they know, they've seen this guy work in there that looks like Abraham Lincoln. So they have this whole set about him, you know? And then later, because I missed it, I heard that they had this roast joke about me. And so at the next open mic, I said, "Well, I want to hear it," you know, and so I think Wes shared it, and it was it was something to the effect of, "Okay, Mindy, you were a Spanish teacher. Como se dice, we get it." I guess they're tired of hearing me talk about it, but I always make the assumption every week going in, I'm not famous. People don't necessarily know who I am. So if I have to set up what I did for a living before I start,
Yeah.
talking about papayas and stuff, like, yeah, that people need to know what the
Yeah.
background is. Yeah.
Absolutely,
Right.
that's a part of the journey, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you had to speak and you were doing, speaking far before this, and having to try to keep schoolers engaged in Espanol, like,
Yep.
literally. That is the
Exactly.
toughest job ever.
Yeah.
So, you had to get them excited, you had to, make it interesting. So, like, yes, this was her journey, but guess what?
Mhm.
You know, maybe they're just jealous that they don't have an interesting background. I don't know. No, and it's fun because you know what? Comedians, they love to riff on others, and that's
Mhm.
kind of the love language. So
Yep.
he was just giving you a shout out. We can pivot, we can reframe and say this was really just an act of love. He was
Right.
shouting you out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing is, like, as you said earlier, you have to have a thick skin. You can't take things personally because they're not. When you get to know these folks, their brains are always going. And even though I love my fellow comics, sometimes they're annoying to hang out with because all they're trying to do is one up each other with the dumb jokes. And in our thread online, it's just like, oh my God, you guys, you should just not have 39 dumbass messages going back and forth because you guys, you know. But I can tell them that and be like, okay, I'm gonna step away from you right now. I just can't. I can't.
Yeah.
And yeah. But
Well, and
as far as
you
roasting is concerned, I've not done a roast of a person. I don't know if that's my jam or not. I'm afraid that I would say something, like, mean that would hurt their feeling.
Mhm.
I don't know. I've been invited to do this one and I still haven't responded because I don't know what I'm gonna say. And it's all women.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Interesting. I think it would be fun to have a roast, but then also I'd probably go home and bawl my head off because I'd be like, "Ah!"
Right?
If they got the funny things that I did, that's one
Mhm.
thing, but if they would get really deep in there, it'd be like, "Ouch,
Yeah.
ouch, that
Yeah.
hurts." Well,
Yeah, and it's like it's one thing if it's a friend of yours, if you know them really well,
yeah,
and you can pick at things that are just funny, that are not because some of them, I mean, you've seen professional roasts, they go
yeah,
for the jugular and nothing's off limits, and I'm like, "Nah, I don't need you guys making fun of certain aspects of my life because 'cause they're painful, and if I have
right.
to talk about them, that's fine," you
My
know?
story, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, that's my story to tell and to make jokes about or whatever, but not yeah, so
Mhm.
I don't know, but like we talked about before, there are so many different types of comedy. People have different intentions, but their brains are always spinning, and it's fascinating. So, and I've definitely learned, and I knew this before I started doing comedy. Your best ideas come to you when you're not even actively looking for them. You know,
Yeah,
you might have this set and be like, "Yeah, but I really need a better punchline or whatever." And you just have to stop thinking about it. And for me, like if I'm out riding my bike or going for a walk, something will just pop into my head. And I'm like, oh, that's great. And that's why you always see comics carrying around little notebooks so they can
yeah.
just jot those things down.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, funnily enough, there's a question I had here, and I wonder it might put you on the spot, but I'm gonna ask it, and if it's like, no, I can't do
Go
it,
for it.
then fine, that's fine. But if Cedar Rapids was a person, what would you say? Like, what would the joke be, kind of?
Well,
Like, is
that's the
it
thing, right? And that's where you are. for the roast of Cedar Rapids.
Yeah.
That was the whole concept of what do we say about this city? And the thing is, you don't want to be cliche because immediately you're like, we've all heard the city of five smells 100 times.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've all it's you have these jokes with each other. Raygun has covered the material in a funnier way than other things.
Anyone could. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And
Mhm.
so you get to know these things about the town. But that's why my thing was just to dig for something different. The gas station
Yeah,
was
not so cliche, not so
right,
predictable.
right. Because
Yeah.
yeah, it's just, everybody's gonna do that or nobody's gonna do that because they're gonna be like, yeah, that's been done to death. I don't need to beat a dead
Right.
horse. But one of the things
Right.
I have noticed that it cracks me up, and it's not just Cedar Rapids, but people have preferred gas stations. People have preferred places that they go. And, some
Mhm.
people will be like, Casey's Pizza is the best. That's a hill I'm gonna die on. And if I had to come up
No, our gas stations are a part of our culture here. If
yes.
you don't know, if you're listening outside of this area, Casey's Pizza, breakfast pizza is particularly top notch
Yeah.
when it comes to pizza. I must say, I'm very sad that Come and Go came and went because
Yep.
Come and Go's iced tea was the bomb. Like, I was like, how do I get more iced tea? It was out of a fountain, it was brewed, it was so good, I'm so sad, but also Come and Go was hilarious in itself, and
Right.
they had, like, a social media marketer that was basically a comic and had so
Mhm.
much fun with that. So now we have Stupid Maverick, which
Right.
evidently is big in other cities, but I'm like,
No.
you're like the new girl, and I'm not sure I wanna be friends yet."
I 100%, I get that. And Come and Go, like, had merch because the name was so funny. People would specifically go there for that reason. There's
Yeah,
been a lot of pushback against that. Well, and like you heard Carson talking on Saturday about he has that whole bit about gas stations, and it's
right,
hilarious. And I don't
right,
wanna share
right.
his material, but yeah, that's some funny stuff. If I were
It
hard pressed
is.
to do a set more specifically about the city of Cedar Rapids, I would probably talk about how many Mexican restaurants there are.
There are quite a few. And also they're all, I mean, not all, but the majority of them are very good
Mm,
and kind of each one has a little bit of a different thing. It's like
yeah,
we're very lucky to have all of these Mexican restaurants in our area. It's not only those, we have quite a few Asian experience cuisines as well. I mean, it's not just Mexican, but yes, there are quite a few.
yeah, there's a lot.
And who could think that all margaritas could taste so different?
So, okay, so a friend of mine and I went out a couple nights ago, and we went to Cafe Tacuba down.
Oh, I love it. It's my
Oh my
favorite.
god, right? But,
Yeah,
like, it's one of the things that's interesting to me is I don't like going to a Mexican restaurant where I don't hear music in Spanish. Like,
sure.
I don't
Yeah.
wanna hear country music
No,
when
you
I
don't want to hear
no,
Taylor Swift at a Mexican restaurant.
correct. But the other thing I think is that there are people who go to Mexican restaurants for the margs, and they don't really care about the food. So their food in some of those restaurants is,
Yeah,
it's meh,
subpar. Yeah,
because they
yeah,
know by the time that people eat that they've already got a little buzz going on. They don't
yeah,
even care,
yeah. We
right?
don't care by that
And
point.
then there are other places where it's the opposite, where I'll have a marg and it's all right, but the food is freaking amazing?
Right. Yeah.
So the places that have both, that's a big deal. Both of those
That's
things
a sweet spot.
yes. If they
Cafe
have that
Tacuba.
and they have Latino employees who let me speak Spanish because that's a big deal. That's
Yes.
one of the things I go there for is to practice, and the worst is when it's a person who appears Latino or is Latino, and I started speaking Spanish, and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't speak Spanish." And I'm so disappointed.
Yeah, and I always fear because I'm so white and Midwestern. I want to say like gracias and blah blah blah, and then I'm like, am I going to be like nails on a chalkboard to them
Yeah,
because they're like, "Wow, white woman, you are the
that's
worst."
well, and I'm a white woman too, and so I have friends
I
that are like,
know, but
"Oh."
you can roll your R's and you have I just feel like, am I insulting you by saying gracias instead of thank you? I don't know. I
I've
guess
had
I
that
should ask.
conversation with people, and I don't know the answer. That's why if I get to a place like that, I will usually ask the waiter in Spanish, "Is it okay with you if I practice my Spanish with you?" Because I want them to know, like, it's about me getting better. It's not that I'm trying to, like, show off or whatever.
Right.
So,
Or
but
be
one
patronizing. Like, I'm not trying
exactly.
to do that at all. I'm just like, want to be respectful, but again, it comes out like grassy ass, it's
That's
not.
well, and let's be honest, it does sometimes. And so I don't even remember where I was, but, I think it was El Paraíso. And I got something and I said, "Gracias," and there were native speakers in there as customers, and a lot of them looked up and looked at me kinda like, "Oh, that white lady had some pretty good
Yeah, because
pronunciation."
I call it El Parizo.
Okay. Yeah, you and a lot of other people.
I
Uh,
know, and that one's a really good one too to go to. We're
yes.
just yes, very, very well endowed, I guess, in the Mexican restaurant game here in Cedar
Right?
Rapids.
You might have just written part of a set there with that wording, like, "We are well endowed."
I'm telling you, it's in my brain. And honestly, my girlfriend, I texted my two friends. I have two friends, and we all have nicknames, but the one friend,
Sure.
Anne, was like, "Oh, how much do you get paid for that gig?" And I go, "Funny you should say that because, after talking to you and to Josh and coming soon, I'm just saying, I feel like it would be, I would be scared to death, but also what an exhilarating experience if you
Yeah.
actually do get a laugh, right?
I'm not gonna lie, there was a time when if somebody said, "Would you try stand up?" I would have said, "Absolutely not. There's no way." And now it's one of my favorite things to do. So it is
And that's
exhilarating.
just it. It's
Yeah,
like I'm teetering. I'm
yeah,
getting closer. It's just like with real estate. I should have been a realtor a million years ago. It didn't work out until the time it did. So
yep,
now I have real estate stories. Not that I would say anything about anyone, but
yeah.
I
You
have stories.
have to use fake names or
I
not.
would well, I don't even remember this gentleman's name that sent me a really
Oh,
nice picture one time, but I'm
oh,
like, I know there's a story there. There
yeah.
is a joke in
Well,
there.
and so that's one of the things there one of the stories that I told one night at comedy, and it was most of my comedy is true. It's actual stuff that happened, and sometimes
Mhm.
my friends are like, you can lie, you can make things up." And I'm like, "I know, but it's not as easy for me to tell." But there was one night I was working at a concert at what I still call the Five Seasons Center.
Oh, absolutely. It will
And
never
this
not be.
no, and this guy, just to give you the succinct version, but he was being like he was hitting on one of the young girls that was working there. She was like 20. She was from Great Britain, and she went to Mount Mercy. She was on the soccer team, if I remember correctly. And he's hitting on her, and it's gross. And I'm like protecting her, but
Mhm.
like my mama bear came out, and I couldn't think critically, and so I was like, I'm her mother, and he was like, "No, you're not. She speaks perfect English, or you speak perfect English." And I was like, "Well, so does she." But it got really stupid, but at the end of it, obviously I'm making jokes about how I've only met this girl. I've only met my daughter one time, and I'm a better girl mom than this guy is because I looked him up on Facebook, and he had, like, an 8-year-old daughter, and I just thought, "You're disgusting."
Yeah.
But afterward and it was funny, it was a great set, but afterwards, one of my young male friends, like, he got it. It made an
Yeah.
impact on him,
Good.
and I thought, "Oh, okay, that's cool." Like, he understood that men can be creepy sometimes, and you pr it
Yeah.
so it felt really good to make people laugh, but also think, and I was like, "Okay,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
cool." So,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Well, I may have to workshop with you at some point to see if I could make this I mean, and it was like traumatic experience when I received this said picture that I received. I was like shaking, I was sweating, I was like, "Ah," and
yeah,
I also had to make the decision to call like our realtor director of us just because I was, like, worried if other women would get this same experience. I just
Yeah,
wanted to it was like a PSA, but I'm like, "Hi, I got"
it's
so there is
creepy.
some funny in there. There's some funny in there, but
Absolutely.
honestly, comedy comes from tragedy sometimes.
That's the thing, and it feels like a way to take your power back. Makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And by the way, my friends never thought it was not anything but funny and literally still like will remind me of that trauma,
Mhm.
which so now I have to turn it into comedy. I have
Yes,
to.
yes. And when
But
you talk about workshopping, I would love it. I miss having an actual comedy club around here, like when we had the
good.
Lucky Cat, the physical building.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, there's a woman that I just happened to be on a show with months ago, and she and her husband opened one up in Omaha. So they have
Oh,
a comedy center, the Warehouse, and they have like classes for improv and all
oh
of these things,
nice.
writing. And I'm like, oh, I wish we had something like that because now that I'm doing it more,
Yeah.
I want to get better at it, and I would love to learn things and workshop.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah. Well, excuse me. I know that Josh is very passionate about this community as well. And so I feel like there is opportunity there. Like I
Mhm.
mentioned to him, maybe sometime do a brunch comedy show for those of us who like to go to bed early. I think
Yes.
that's a great opportunity for people to understand and see
Yep.
comics and build that community and expose us to funny because that's what we need right now.
It's a really good idea.
But
Yeah.
other than that, I agree, and I hope that someone somewhere can figure out to bring a brick and mortar comedy place
Mhm.
back, so that we could do things and maybe I don't know, maybe that looks like it looks I don't know what that looks like, but anyway,
Well,
I do think about it now that I've had the conversation with Josh and with you, like, it feels
uh,
like there's something there that someone could do.
yes. I think and to circle back, I think Kingston Yard has or is going to have, like, comedy there.
Oh,
I
great.
don't know that much about it, so I don't wanna say more about it,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
yeah, if Jo I don't did Josh didn't talk about that at all? Or
Mm-mm. No.
yeah, okay.
No, he just brought up, Wednesday night, Mike night at,
Yep,
Parlor City as
Parlor
well,
City.
and
Yep,
that's a smaller crowd right now, so we need to get out the word so that
yep,
comedians have an audience and not just each
yes,
other.
yes. Yeah, the Parlor City, it's a really different vibe from the Tuesday, and as a comic
Because
that
there are probably are more families there, right?
there are sometimes more families there, but there are more people coming specifically to hear the comedy. Um, because there's some I want to say trivia or something across the street at Nubo before that, and so people started to
Okay,
come over. And the last time
okay.
I was there were people that came up after. There was like, "Oh, I'm a teacher, or I'm a librarian, and this and that." And then I think I had two former students in the crowd just randomly. One of them was working.
Oh,
Yeah. It's yeah, but also I'm, like, really glad I didn't talk about sex or whatever, you know?
they would be like, "Mrs. Mrs. Kruckenberg
Yes,
doesn't have
exactly.
sex."
Yeah. That's the thing, there are former students who still they might be in their 30s, but they will not call me by my first name, you know? And I'm divorced, so
Same
some of
way.
them will call me by I'm like, "Oh, Miss Eckhart." I'm like, "You can call me Mindy. It's been a long time."
No, I'm 53, and if I see one of my teachers, I'm like, "Hello, Mr. Bowen,"
Yep,
"Hello." I
yep.
can't. I
And
just never called a respectful I mean, I know we're both adults, but it to me, that is showing my respect, so,
and
anyway.
that's why I wanna protect some of those former students from some of the content that I do, or apologize beforehand, like, "I'm sorry, you're gonna hear me not only swear, but say things that might just really make you cringe." So, so
Mm,
far so good. I know,
yes.
I know.
Well, thank you again so much. Do you have any shows coming up that you would like to promote?
I know that I'm doing so Tim Boyle organizes this Monday Unscripted at CSPS Hall. and I want to say it's coming back like full time September 27th. I hope that that's the right date. But we're doing like a teaser show on August 3rd. And so I know I'm on
Okay.
that show. So August
Okay.
the CSPS Hall, it's a Monday night. And those shows are so cool. They're like these old school variety shows where you've got
Yeah.
comedy, they have a storyteller, they usually have a band, and then Tim usually interviews someone. And so it's
Yes, yes. So
and I love it
August
because
3rd.
it's multi-generational too. You've got Tim
Yeah.
who's, you know, older, no offense, my
Yeah.
friend. But then sometimes you'll have comics in their 20s and just all learning from each other. And I love that. So
Yes, yes. It
yep.
feels very old, like the I what am I thinking of? Like the variety shows like in the 60s
From
kind
the
of
60s
thing.
and 70s when I was a kid. I mean, everybody did that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
Oh,
I've gotten to
good.
know
All right.
actually a lot of like cool bands, local bands that I didn't know existed that I'm like, wow, they're amazing, you know? So
And where do we
it's
find
fun.
information about that?
We have so much talent in Cedar Rapids. It's crazy. And I know CSPS has a site and a Facebook page, and I wish I could tell you the
I
exact
will
address.
find it, but
Mhm.
CSPS will be promoting it, so
Yeah.
that's where we
Yeah.
should look.
Yes. And that's
Okay,
for
and
me.
it's
So
unscripted is it the name
yes.
of it? And
Yes.
August 3rd is kind of like a sneak peek.
Correct. Yeah. And for me personally, I have an Instagram page. And the funny thing about my Instagram page is I didn't start it. It's when I taught at Linmar, my eighth graders started. I didn't even know it existed, but I was teaching online like this, and they would freeze shots of me that were hideous and just like put them on there. I kept a few of them because they're so funny. And they turned one into a hot Cheeto girl, and you probably don't even know what that means. Like I didn't.
No.
But if you look at my Instagram page is like Ms. MS. Kruckenberg, Kruckenberg. So always love to have more followers, even though I don't really pretend to know how to use Instagram. But
Well, I can't wait to go look at this picture.
do it. They're hilarious. Yeah.
I mean, I've been thinking lately. So Jace, my Maven producer behind the scenes, he creates all of the reels and stuff. And a
Cool.
lot of the times I'm like listening and looking and those are the important stuff that you're saying. And then it swings to me and I'm like, oh my God, that is the worst.
Yep. Those
But
are the
also
ones.
it's hilarious.
Yes. Oh yeah. It's great. And what's funny is so the kid that did it, he goes to the University of Iowa now. He's going to be a doctor. He's so incredibly intelligent. But he as an eighth grader, as you can imagine. Oh my God. But he was the one where he'd say something that it would be so inappropriate, but sometimes I would laugh anyway. So a couple years ago, we had coffee together, and I said, "By the way, can I become an administrator on my own Instagram account, please?" And so now,
Yes.
yeah, I know.
OMG.
Yeah,
What a good sport you are because some
well, you
people
know,
would not find
I
that
know,
very funny and have a
I
sense of
know.
humor about it. So,
That's the thing. But when you work with kids your whole life, like you just know, like
and
14-year
that is
old so and so is going to be a dipshit. They just are. So,
absolutely, but also that's the highest form of flattery from a middle schooler.
yep.
I mean, a male middle schooler, like he really enjoyed you and loved kind of make ribbing you, and that was his way of showing it.
But I think because I think he knew that I thought he was funny too, if that makes any
Yeah.
sense. Yeah,
Oh God, yes.
yeah.
Absolutely. If someone thinks I'm funny, I'm ramping it up.
That's the problem. Yes, I was my own worst problem sometimes with the discipline.
Well, thank you again for coming today and coming to my
Thank
neighborhood,
you.
hanging
Thank you
out,
for
and I'm so
inviting me to do
excited.
this and yeah, and it's been great getting to know you. I feel like you're somebody that I could be very good friends with, and that's awesome.
Oh,
That's a good thing.
that's vice versa, as they say. So, well, thank you so much. And neighbors, don't forget to like, follow, share all the things, not your average neighbor. And we will see you back next Monday in our neighborhood for another great guest. See you soon. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.